our question for today that we hope and we expect. So how about this? We're going to operate today in expectation. Y'all feel me on that? What we are going to have, what we are going to receive. So what if the key to building generational wealth isn't just what you invest in, but how you run your business? Good morning, great morning, guys. Welcome to another fabulous episode of Exit Strategies Radio Show. Hey, y'all know who I am, but I'm going to tell you anyhow. Corwyn J, Melette, broken owner of Exit Realty, low country group in beautiful North Charleston, South Carolina. Quick shout out to those who listen to us faithfully, that tune in. Got to give a quick shout to my guy, Bert McQueen, for tuning in. Thank you, my guy, for tuning in and listening to this show. Elder Pastor Evans, y'all folks out there in Muddy Mullins, but all the way back through Mont's Kona, all the way through over to Hollywood, what you know, no good. Guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in. So our question for today that we hope and we expect. So how about this? We're going to operate today in expectation. Y'all feel me on that? We're going to operate today in expectation, what we are going to have, what we are going to receive. So what if the key to building generational wealth isn't just what you invest in, but how you run your business? So I'm super excited because today, our guest today, using this mantra, transformed his life. Now he helps others by doing the same with a framework that builds more than just profit. So let's talk today about legacy-driven leadership. Our guest today is none other than Mr. Gary Harper. Gary is the CEO. Y'all know what I say about that. That means he the boss, y'all. The CEO of Sharper Business Solutions, the creator. Woo! He put something together right there. The creator of the Rise Business Framework. He's a real estate investor, but most importantly, he's a business strategist. You all please give him a warm welcome to this show on today. Gary, how are you doing?
Great, Corwyn. Thanks for having me on today. What a great introduction. Good energy. I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling it. I love what you bring.
Well, look here. That's what I try to do. So just so you know, I'm always available for hire.
All right.
For those keynotes. So when you get that next keynote, I want you to call me and I will make sure we fire them up.
Well, I've been on stage in Caesar's Palace before and not been introduced with that level of tenacity and energy. That's good stuff.
Well, look here. Please pass me around. Treat me like Halloween candy and give me out.
Okay.
So Gary, look, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on the show with us today. If you don't mind, for our listeners, we always ask our guests to give their own high level, who they are and what you do. So if you could please do that, that would be amazing.
Let's take a short break.
You served your country with pride. Now it's time someone serves you. At Country Boy Homes, we believe every veteran deserves a safe, beautiful, and affordable place to call home. We proudly offer VA loan-friendly, manufactured and modular homes built with integrity, quality, and your family in mind. Whether you're retiring to the peace of the low country or starting fresh with your family, we're here to build the future you've earned. Give us a call today, 843-574-8979. Country Boy Homes, built to honor, built to last.
Yeah, so my journey started as a troubled youth. I mean, I got kicked out of schools. I had really hard time growing up. My dad was in the military 21 years, spent a lot of time away. And I think with all young men and their dads being gone for an extended period of time, you tend to find yourself in trouble a little bit. I had a phenomenal parents, amazing parents. But still, when you're left to the town times, you find trouble. So I did. And in my teenage years, I was in Virginia and found myself getting in trouble. I ended up being mom and dad just, hey, you got to get out. You got to go out and do your own thing. And at 17 years old, I left and moved to Chicago. And I met my brother-in-law and my sister was up here. And they kept me busy. And he got me started in real estate and helped me. I was living in his rentals and fixing them up and flipping them. And during the day, I'd sleep in them. It's funny, he put me in a house in Gary, Indiana, and said, hey, I got a Glock 9mm, a 38 special, And he's like, I need you to keep people from breaking in and stealing the copper, but you can stay here for free if you do that. And I'm like, okay. And I did. So during the day, I'd rehab the house, and at night, I'd protect it. And I slept on a bed on the floor, walked to the mission for lunch, ate ramen noodles as crackers, from the dollar store, and kind of made my way. I think for me, it started to shift when I got into corporate America. I started working in corporate in 1997. I got married that year and found myself needing to take care of my future, my generational legacy. And so I started having kids, and I went from $7.15 an hour binding books in a copy center to becoming an executive. And I worked my way up to executive. My title was National Manager of Business Initiatives and Development. And I was only 22 years old. I was young. And I'm not even really sure why I got the opportunity, other than I just grinded, worked hard, and delivered results. And, they look past the inexperience. They look past the lack of education. I just grinded. I worked hard. And I think sometimes hard work and heart gets you performance more than knowledge. And that's where it led me. So I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth or gold spoon in my mouth. I was born working hard with a military family. It moved a lot. And my dad worked hard. And my mom worked 3 jobs to take care of us. And it's just, I was taught to work hard. And I believed in myself. I believed in myself when other people didn't. And so I worked my way up to that corporate executive level, and I stayed there till probably 35 years old. And during that time, I started making a decent amount of money. I had read some books from Robert Kiyosaki and Carlton Sheets. That kind of dates me a little bit. Most of your listeners may not know Carlton Sheets, but I listened to Carlton Sheets, and he's now passed, but learned a lot of things. And then obviously being around my brother-in-law and him fixing flipping houses, just got the itch. And I started buying rentals and started holding on to them. Started a property management company as well. And, I don't know about you, man, but 2008 to 2010 was not very kind to me. It was not a good year for me, good years. Corporate America, perfect. Did great. Won executive of the year, 8 out of 10 years. Found myself winning all these awards behind my head here. And just life was good other than the investing side. And I'm not sure that I was very intelligent on how to invest, just felt like it was important to do and create passive income. That's what I've been taught. But 2010, 2011 came along, man, and I found myself on the wrong side of that investments. And they reassessed taxes in Northwest Indiana. I found myself way over in payments and under rents, and, leveraged way too deep along the value. The property values dropped, and I filed bankruptcy. I didn't have any other way out. But Corwyn, that year was tough for me because not only did I lose my wealth that year and all my savings and everything else, and other investors were pocketing the rents and not paying their mortgage. Man, I had to pay it. I felt like the Bible says, a good name is better to be chosen than great riches. And I'm like, this is an integrity thing, man. I got to pay my bills. All the savings I had built at that point was gone. It's all gone. And even the lender was like, you probably should just file bankruptcy at this point. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, at least they gave you a way out, right? So at least they gave you some advice, some counsel or direction, or gave you an idea maybe you didn't have and that you weren't willing to cover. So Gary, let me jump right here with the question. You have a mission, if you will, to create and help people to create vision-driven real estate businesses. And I kind of gleaned from what you said here a moment ago when you gave reference to scripture that you help people to incorporate that into their overall vision and the direction that they go. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, the Bible says where there's no vision, the people perish. And without vision, we lose hope.
Man, look here. So I have a client, and she's listening this morning. She just heard that, and that probably just fired her up right there because she tells me all the time, Corwyn, the people lack vision. Will say that to me all the time. So how do you work with people with that? How do you work with them? Because, I mean, people have an idea, but oftentimes and this is just my observation, Gary, please correct me or disagree if you do, but people have like this idea, but they don't have vision, which is where you see it through, where you see what happens once you cast it. It's like you you out there fishing, you cast your reel, right? And cast your bait into the water, but you can't envision it getting the fish and coming out. All you just see is yourself throwing it out there. So how do you deal with people with that?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of times what happens in this world is people think they're shooting after vision, but they're trying to fulfill somebody else's. And I think that's where we miss the mark, is that we're not casting our own lines. We're not creating our own vision. We're taking somebody else's or mirroring somebody else's and calling it our own. And then there's no passion. And I always tell people, like, vision creates purpose. Purpose creates passion. Passion drives obsession. Obsession creates focus, and focus gets success. And so if it's not our vision, then we're never going to chase the purpose. And if we don't chase the purpose and we have a way to measure chasing that purpose, then we're not going to get passionate about it. And if we don't get passionate about it, we can't expect our people that we lead to get passionate about it. And I think it's really important that our passion and our purpose support each other and support our vision. But like chasing somebody else's vision is never going to get you anywhere.
So, man, look here. Anybody who's watching this, y'all just saw me over here about to feel like I was about to have a, as old folks say, a fit.
Yeah.
Because what you just touched on is some of the stuff that I talk about and that we conversate about on this show, but also outside of this all the time, because people don't care. They're not passionate about anything other than themselves.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, but Gary, look, so you really focus in this process on systems and scaling. But one word, and I'm going to drop this word and let you pick up whichever one you want to start with, but also, because we don't like this word, accountability.
Made my back shiver. I was going to say, Corwyn, there a minute ago when I was talking about passion, I thought this was going to turn into a Pentecostal podcast. You know what I mean? Like, I thought we were coming out speaking in tongues. I saw you starting to come out of the chair a little bit like you on a roller coaster or something. I don't know what's about that.
I love it. I love it. But Gary, that word accountability, man, it slays people. You know it. Because we want to do what we want to do, but don't want to be responsible for making sure that we've done what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. I mean, I think accountability is the key to getting results. And without accountability and self-accountability, we can pay people, we can hire people, we can push other people, our spouses, loved ones, things like that to hold us accountable. But without self-accountability, there's no commitment. And so, first of all, we got to start with a vision, right? We got to figure out where we want to go. And self-accountability is clear and easy when you want to go and when you want to get there. And that's why vision is so important. And here's the thing, without the right vision, you're going to struggle. You're going to hit hard times. And when that times happen, it's like me, for example, Corwyn, in 2011, not only did I file bankruptcy, I got bit by a tick that year. I came down with Lyme disease.
Oh, wow.
And I went back to a 5-year-old mental state for a year. I was told by a doctor that I was probably not going to live past that age of 35 because of where it bit me. It bit me on my back of my neck and went into my brain. And to get through that time, like I had to be very purposeful in how getting through that. I had to envision myself getting healthy. I had to create a vision. That's honestly when I sat across from that doctor with my head in my hands and the tears running down my forearms. I thought to myself, oh, dear God, what did I do with my life? And I said, God, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What's the vision? What do you have planned for me? And I sat there thinking to myself, oh, dear God, if you give me my life back, I'll give it back to helping other people. And that's when it was born for me. And here's the thing, when that kicked in and that passion showed up, I become obsessed. I become obsessed in a good way. I think obsession can be good and bad, but in the good way, because the obsession was driving me towards my purpose. Because of that, I got laser focused. And that's when accountability shows up. And not just in business. Accountability, it spans all aspects of our lives, right? And so not too long ago, I lost both my dad, my mom. And on my dad's final words, he says, Gary, this COVID stuff, it's not going to be kind to you if you get it. And he says, listen, I need you to make me a promise. You need to lose some weight. In the time, Corwyn, I was 320 pounds. I was a big boy. And I'm only 5'7". So you imagine, I was a pretty big boy. And I was not in good shape. And he says, Gary, I need you to promise me. Being in the military 21 years, he was like, hey, you need to take care of yourself. And part of the framework that I created for Rise kind of came from that vision of how do I lose weight. And here, I'll give you an example. So in systems of Rise, because Rise stands for resources, inspiration, systems, and engagement. In the system aspect, that's where we create sustainability and accountability, right? And one of the ways we create accountability is in results, in metrics. Metrics tell us a story. I always say numbers don't lie, people do. And so like numbers tell us a story. I went to my doctor and I said, hey, I'm losing weight. I'm feeling good. I'm doing better. And he says, oh, good. Let's see what the scale says. So you ain't lost no weight. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, it was an accountability moment. He said, well, let's get your blood work done. Maybe you're doing a little bit better there. Maybe the weight's not coming off yet, but doing better. Got my blood work done. Came in a couple of days later. And he says, Gary, why are you lying to me? I said, what are you talking about? He says, you said you've been eating better. I said, I am eating better. He says, your A1C is 7.4. There ain't no way you're eating better because that A1C would be under the 6. And I was like, all right, well, I mean, numbers don't lie. And what was that? It was accountability. So I'm like, all right, well, these are results of my efforts. So what do I need to change? I need to change my purpose. I need to change my vision. Like I need to be more intentional here about achieving this weight loss goal. And so what I created was the first KPI, which is called what I call my key purpose indicator. It's like, how do I measure my purpose? My purpose is getting healthy, living a long time, longevity. Well, the only way to do that is to live a long, healthy life, right? So then I created my profit indicators. My profit indicators were my gain. What do I need to gain to live a long life, to fulfill my purpose? Well, I need to gain healthy blood work. I need to gain my numbers, and my blood work need to show that I'm gaining health. Then I built down to my performance indicators, right? My performance indicators, the scales got to come down. The lifting weights got to go up. I got to get the results, which is performance. But then I built down on what I figured out was probably the most critical KPI to accountability. And it's called the process indicator. Every day we perform and do things, we conduct processes every day, whether it's taking a bath or walking or drinking water or whatever. And those processes drive us to the performance that gets us the profit, the gain that gets us our purpose. And so I built down properly from purpose, the gain, profits, down to performance, down to process. And so every day I had to eat 180 grams of protein. I had to have 100 grams of carbs. I have 75 grams of fat, and I had to have a gallon of water or more. I had to have 100 ounces of water. I also needed to walk 10,000 steps a day. These are daily tactical process indicators. And here's the thing. If I don't do those every day, then I know that I'm not creating accountability. Your business is no different, Corwyn. It's the same thing. You have a purpose for why you started it. Every business starts with what I call the 3 Ps. You have a passion. You have a product that makes profits. Those are your 3 Ps to every business. But from that, you got a purpose. What is our purpose? What are we trying to accomplish in this business? And maybe that purpose early on is just making you some money, man, so you can stop working that job. True. And that's okay. I always say there's 2 purposes for our business. It's either leave a legacy or to make money. That's the only 2 reasons why people start a company. But that purpose has to be defined, and then we have to measure it. When I first started my investment and looking for that exit strategy for myself in life, I needed to be at $4,955 a month in passive income. That was a long time ago, by the way. And it's probably a little higher these days, right? But yeah, it was a while ago, right? And so I needed to be at that to create freedom. Now, that number's higher now. Mm-hmm. But I had my freedom mark. Then I had my $12,000 healthy mark. Mm-hmm. And I had my abundant mark, which was $20,000 a month of passive. Mm-hmm. And that abundant mark allowed me to live abundantly and give back abundantly and give up my life. And I always tell people life, it's an acronym. It stands for labor, influence, finances, and experience. I want to give up my life to help others. My labor, my influence, my finance, and my experience. And so that's what my purpose indicator was. And so your listeners today, they need to have that mark. They need to have that thing they're driving towards that fulfills life purpose. That's the vision. But we ain't going to get there without the accountability of it. So now we have to have a gain. We have to have profits. How much money do I need to make in order to cash flow $4,900 some a month to give me my purpose? And then from that, I had to look at performance. How many properties do I need to own to create the cash flow of $300 a door that gave me my gain, that gave me my purpose? But then down the process, what do I have to do every single day to fulfill my performance, to give me my gain, to give me my purpose? And part of that was every day, it was like, how many properties do I need to look at every single day? How many properties do I need to put on contract every single week to give me my performance? How many profit per door do I need to have in order to give me my cash flow? And can I hit my purpose indicator of $5,000 a month? And once I figured out that equation, accountability became simple. And I think that's the key. It starts with the vision to create passion, create a session, to drive focus, to get success. But then you have to build down to that accountability. And then you have to want it bad enough to hold yourself accountable to getting it. I've already run a 5K this morning before we talked. I got out, ran. Why? Because I got to fulfill my purpose.
I love it, man. I love it.
Don't touch that dial. In the second half of our conversation, Gary gets real about the paralyzing power of fear and how to replace it with knowledge. He'll break down his 3 pillars of purpose to help you find your true calling and explain the oxygen mask principle, why you have no right to lead others until you've mastered leading yourself.